Hey guys, this is Ress and Gabby, and today we're talking about when your type is actually just a trauma pattern. So basically, when we're talking about your type being a trauma pattern, this is going to say for like some of us who keep saying, like, this is my type, this is my type, but your type keeps hurting you. And why we keep ending up in the same situations because your quote unquote type is the emotionally stunted gym rat, or it's the sweet talking, womanizer man who has never had a plan to be faithful, or it's the so called nice guy on the outside with absolutely no emotional availability. And here's the thing, a lot of times our type is like not a preference. For some of us, it's literally just a pattern from our childhood, our trauma. It can also be a copy of like that first relationship or mom and dad's relationship in general. Now, I know for myself, we joke all the time that my type is I don't know. Yes, I do know your type, but I was gonna say I don't know your type, but your type is 30-year-old YNs. Like that's your type.
Yeah, I do. I like hood
And I know I've always joked that like my type has always been like,
lawyers.
I mean, what you mean? I do. I do like really intelligent men, but like the running joke has always been like tall, tatted, bearded men with mother issues. Like that is, if you look at most of my exes, like that is, they might not have all of them. They all have mother issues though. They all have every single one of them. I think it's the breast. I honestly think it's the breast. Like there is a psychology behind like why big breasts were like preferred throughout history. And it's because in the past it was associated with you are able to produce milk and you could bear a lot of children because you have the stuff to feed the children. And I'm a very busty girl. And I believe that is my downfall because the way a man with all type of mother issues sees me and is like, yeah, you don't want you you don't
Well,
want.
like when I think about it, it's not me attracted to the to hood guys. It's more of them attracted to me. I was more of the good girl who went to Catholic, the bad girl who went to Catholic school and worked in the mall, and I just happened to meet people.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it happened. But a lot of the guys I have dated have been ex hood.
Yeah.
But they come from two parent households. Like they start off great. Like that's the thing. They start off great.
Yeah.
Now, what happens later on, I can't contest for that. But yeah.
I mean,
And I love like tall and skinnies. That's like another
um,
thing. Tall and
you
skinny.
love your skinny dudes, yeah. I
I
like my
do.
girls with a little meat. Like I like that football player build. Like I like,
And I yeah.
but the same thing, like what you were saying was like, but they come from two parent household. I also get tricked because also the men that like the stereotype that I see today, yes, very educated, but like lots of mother issues. All of them, like if you ask them, they're like, I love my mom. And
Yeah.
they're all like, and they talk to them all the time. They are like, you know, like it's not like the dudes that are like cussing out women or like, like I can't stand her. No, these are men who like call their mom. Like you almost think they might be low-key mama's boys at one point. But then the psychology behind, like as you're talking, you slowly realize, like, oh, you and her are enmeshed. Like you and her are either enmeshed or it's like, oh, you have a lot of resentment for her, but you refuse to
Mhm.
acknowledge it. That's the
Mhm.
biggest one. I can't tell you how many times it has been like just a moment in us dating and me go, oh, you resent this woman, but you are afraid to recognize that you resent her.
They don't realize it.
And it's like, and so
Mhm.
y'all be having these little passive aggressive points, and you have these little things where you wild out, and you're like, oh, dang, I don't want to make her mad. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Like, make her mad. Absolutely.
Like at any point in time, if you end up finding yourself attracted to me, it's probably because you got some other issues. At some point, it's gonna come out because I don't know why that has been the pattern. And kind of like you said, you have me thinking now, like, am I attracted to them or are they attracted to me? Because like I'm not purposely going now, physically, yes.
physically,
Bearded,
yes.
I love a bearded man, tall, tatted up. I love it. Love it. That is definitely what's his name? Tyler Lepre? Is that his name?
Oh, you like light skin. Ugh.
They don't have to be. A lot of them tend to be though. So yeah, no, we all kind of have types and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So having a type isn't inherently bad. Attraction does have layers that can be physical, that can be energetic, that can be spiritual, but your type can consistently leave you drained, anxious, and abandoned. And that's where the trauma part comes in because sometimes you are in a relationship and I don't think your, how can I say this? I don't think your trigger warnings
Mhm.
are set off like immediately
Mhm.
until like you're like 4 or 5 months in and now you're like, I don't know if I feel safe with this person.
Yeah.
And because I do think there is a honeymoon phase and you have to get kind of past that to get to really know somebody.
Mhm.
And kind of once you get to know that person or that person's guard is down and you kind of start seeing them for them, I think your guard kind of starts to come back up a little bit because there
Yeah.
are some things that you don't like. Now, there are things that you can be like, okay, I can put up with this, but there are things that you should have as immediate, like, no, I will not put up with this
Yeah.
because this is draining me as a person. So,
Yeah. And I like what you emphasizing, like, okay, but does your type keep leaving you drained or feeling anxious or feeling abandoned?
hmm
Because I think that's where you need to figure out if, okay, is my type actually just trauma? It's one thing
hmm
to be like, oh, I love me a bald headed, muscle, a dark skinned man. That is my, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But like, do you also like a muscle, bald headed man who is emotionally abusive? You know,
hmm
it's like when it's okay, it's not really necessarily that physical stuff, but it's like, okay, but like, is there a pattern? Like, dang, I tend to feel very lonely in relationships.
hmm
Okay, if you tend to feel lonely, yes, let's do some reflection because some of that is us. But do I keep ending up with the same people who always make me feel like I am responsible for their emotions and their feelings, and they have
mm,
no part or intake on mine? And so
that's
I
very
keep
true.
feeling lonely. I keep, like you said,
hmm
you start off in the honeymoon, it's great, it's good. But somewhere along the line, you realize, like, damn, I am laying next to this man and I feel alone.
And it is not fun. I will say
It
that
is not.
it is not fun. It is
I
not.
I would say my biggest heartbreak. Oh my gosh, this man broke my heart. But you know what? The day I left him, um, like literally, I was laying in bed next to me. You know this. I woke up in the middle, like packed all my shit and left
hmm
at like around 4 a.m. Um, but like I was like laying next to this man, and I just realized like I felt so alone. Like, I
hmm
felt so like because he knew he had fucked up. He knew, like, at the time, I didn't tell him everything I knew, but I gave him a look because we had plans that night, and I gave him a look. It was just like, "I'm going to bed." It was like 7 PM. He was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm going to bed." And I remember, like, crying. And, of course, you know me, I'm not making a big scene of it, but I was like, "This nigga didn't even check on me." Like, something is off. You
hmm
check and don't get me wrong, yes, I'm a big girl, I coulda used my communication skills and everything like that, but I remember, like, for the rest of the night, he just came into bed, laid down, didn't say nothing, like, didn't check, like, what took him
That's where they mess up.
and I remember sitting there and being like, "Sir, you had a bad work week and called me and interrupted my workday for me to talk you down." But, like, I'm sitting here obviously fully upset, and he know a little bit about it. Like, he knew he had fucked up, and he said
Right.
something that he knew like, we locked eyes, and it was a moment of like, "Oh, shit, that was not supposed to slip." And it was like, "And you wouldn't even check on me? You wouldn't even ask, like, even if you're mad or if you're frustrated or you're annoyed, you wouldn't even be like, 'Yo, we good?' Something." And it
Right.
was like, "You didn't even do that." And I remember, like, just laying in that bed, wide awake, and being like and I really sat and thought about it. I was like, "I don't know if I ever felt like this man emotionally shows up for me."
Mm,
And I sat there
that's
and I
deep.
tried to yeah, because I tried to because look, man, I left this man 2 days before my birthday. Do you know how mad you have to be
To leave
to
someone
not
for your
wait until
birthday.
after you get your
Absolutely.
gifts and bounce? Yeah, do you know how angry you have to be to, like, not wait that 48 hours to get your gifts and then dip?
Very angry. You have to be
Man,
very,
you
very,
have
very
to be
angry.
very pissed off.
You just have to not care.
I had one of my homegirls on the phone and she was like trying to talk me down, like, get you, just wait, just pretend. It's 2 more days. And like after that, I went through a really tough period. And I had to come to terms with like the fact that, like, dang, I tend to end up in, which is probably why I end up with men with mother issues. But it's like I tend to end up in a lot of relationship. My patterns is men who need me to emotionally take care of them.
Mhm.
And because my type is usually very intellectual, usually very smart men and stuff, it's sometimes you don't recognize it because they use such smart words and you have all this communication and you don't realize in the midst of all of that, like, okay, we're having this good communication, we're having this good talk, you make me laugh, and da 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 da. It's very stimulating. You don't realize, like, oh, but like, you don't really show up for me emotionally. You make me laugh.
Mm.
You take me to really nice, expensive restaurants. Yes, we have great conversations, but like, if I can't show up emotionally, both of us are doomed. And that's a fucking horrible feeling. Not just in any aspect. I think for men, it feels more like financial. Cause I had a male
Mhm.
friend tell me this, like one of his things that like he ended his marriage was because he was like, I realized that if anything happened to me, if for any second I have a moment where I need to break down, our whole thing will fail because they do not have what it takes to step up and just make sure things are flowing.
Wow, that's deep.
But that's
That's a lot of
how
pressure.
I.
People don't realize there is a lot of pressure to be a man sometimes. It's not just us. It's not just us, but we're not talking about them. But go ahead.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Yeah, I got. Fuck them, but yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it does. But this ain't they hour.
Right. This is not about them. I just That's
Y'all
not
go
about
listen
them.
to
Let's
Joe
stay
Budden,
focused. Just
okay?
stay
Let him
focused.
corrupt your minds. Um,
Oh my gosh, that was funny.
but no, but like that's how I felt on an emotional level, where it was just
Mhm.
like, if I'm not okay mentally, both of us, because a lot of times it gets to a point where I am with these people where it feels like I am now doing all the emotional heavy lifting for the both of us.
Mhm.
And so when I'm having a rough day, when I'm having an off day, I can't depend on you to step up and
Mm.
do the check-in. I can't depend
Yeah.
on you to make sure, because I've done so much for you. You stop doing it for yourself, let alone me. And that's when again it starts to be like, nope. See, that's not a type. That's a trauma pattern.
Mm, mm, mm. That's deep. That's very, very, very deep. Oh wow. It just makes me think. I went through a lot of therapy
Mhm.
for 2.5 years when I came out of my DV relationship. And when I really thought about it, I dated three emotional unavailable men in the span of like a less than a year.
Mhm.
That's crazy. One broke my heart. The man I thought I was gonna be with broke my heart, had a baby on me. I was graduating from Howard, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. They're kicking me out the dorm, had nowhere to go. My friend introduced me to this guy. Me and him started dating. He let me move in with him. That's how I got into that situation.
Mhm. I recall.
Then my mom was like, I'll never forget it. She's like, take out a loan, get your own place, whatever. Took out a loan, got my own place in DC. Everything was great. Well, then he gets evicted and he's like, I want to come stay with you. And who am I to tell him no?
Mhm.
So I let him come stay with me. I physically started an argument with this man to get him kicked, to make him leave.
Yeah.
And then that's how the other dude got in.
Mhm.
Like it was just crazy. It was
Mhm.
just a spiral of different events. And I really do think in my heart of hearts, if I wouldn't have went through the one event with that one person, them other two would have never happened.
Mhm.
But because I was so heartbroken, trying to figure out, trying to find love, trying to find a safe space, trying to all make it make sense in my mind, I was willing to put up with anything. And that's not okay. And I think that's where my trauma, I really had to deal with my childhood trauma when it stemmed to my father.
Yeah.
And because it took me to a place where I just felt like I didn't have a voice when it came to men, like I would accept anything. So to back up a little bit, that's my little soul archaeology, by
Yeah.
the way. But let's back up. Let's form all this, put it all together. So your type often is formed long before you ever first date. Um, Maybe your caregiver was distant. Now you chase people who give you crumbs. Let me emphasize this. Now you chase people who give you crumbs.
Mhm.
The bare minimum. The bare minimum. The bare minimum. That's familiar, that's comfortable, that's what you're used to. It's easy to you learn how to, I don't want to say navigate your emotions to deal with it because that's your normal. Um, you may even love walking on eggshells, and chaos feels like chemistry. Okay, so let's dive into this. So I spoke on that part earlier. So I had to deal with my childhood trauma when it stemmed from my father. My father is a very nonchalant man. A lot of the men I date are very nonchalant, meaning that they really just don't speak on emotions, really care about emotions, or just don't communicate. I'm an over communicator. We know that. I'll talk your
Mhm.
head off and probably won't care. That's just me. So I had to go through a lot of therapy to really deal with that piece because I just was in a space where I felt like I didn't have a voice, like I couldn't speak up because I didn't want to do anything wrong. And so I had to find my voice. And the first step for me was to deal with that. So I had to put my big girl panties on and have a conversation with that man. And it did not go well. It went actually left.
Mhm.
It went very left to the point that I personally have made the decision. Once we got done with that conversation, I made a vow to myself that I will never in my life, in the history, as long as I'm on this earth, let another man disrespect me or treat me any kind of way. And
Yeah.
so far, I have stuck by that. It's been hard, but I have stuck to my morals. And that meant starting with him first and cutting the cord and cutting him off. Now, I'm not saying I don't love that man. That's still my father at the end of the day, but we have very low communication.
Yeah.
If something's wrong, fine. I'll deal with it. But other than that, I do not deal with him.
Yeah.
So I say all this to say you have to, when you are dealing with relationships, I never thought that I would date somebody like him. But when I look back on my relationships, some of the men I have dated have been like him.
Yeah.
And you do end up dating a sense of what you're around and what you're used to. And you may even do it without even consciously thinking that you're like, I'm gonna date the total opposite and
Yeah.
come to find out that is the exact same person.
Yeah.
So you just have to be aware and you really do have to work on those things.
Yeah. Your nervous system confuses familiarity with safety.
Very true.
This is what I know. This is what I
Hmm.
know. Definitely. And again, it doesn't always have to be like your father, but it can just be the way that you were shown love.
Yep.
And so it can be your mother, it can be your family, it can be the people, your friendships, but it's like that fundamental while I'm learning who I am, the way I'm shown love, I slowly kind of start repeating that, even if it's not conscious, even if it's like, no, I
Mhm.
want something so far away from that. Um, Definitely, I'm always team traumatize your father back. Always,
Okay, because
always.
boy, they be toxic and don't even know. You be like, this man is toxic. Like,
Look, look, cause like, so I have two dads. I'll talk about this before. Like, I have my biological dad and my stepdad, and me and my stepdad are good. I love him so very, very much. He definitely is a part of my issue as well. But, that's still dad. That's pops. Like, that's who I refer to as my dad. But like my biological dad, me and him have been no contact for over 5 years now.
I'm at 3.
Yeah. And like nothing can make me contact a man. Like if they called me today and was like, hey, he died, I'd be like, oh, okay. Am I no will? The only place I'm showing up is the lawyer's office. I'm not showing up to no hospital. I'm not showing up to no funeral.
Or your documentary.
Yes, the only place I'm showing up is the lawyer's office or the HBO documentary that's eventually gonna come out about this nigga.
That's our
Y'all laugh, but
joke.
I mean
The
this. Like
ongoing joke because I just think that it's so funny.
y'all laugh, but I mean this. Like,
I
and
know you do. That's what makes it funny is you are dead a serious about it.
look, for all the listeners that are confused, like it has been a running joke that I have said, like, at some point, I'm gonna end up talking to a documentary crew about my father. Like, I just know he got too many skeletons. At some point, I don't know
Oh.
exactly what it's gonna be about, but like I'm on my 50 Cent shit where it's like whatever they say he did, he did. That man. Percent
I
sure
wasn't there. He did it. He did it.
there's nothing you can tell me that I'm like, no.
Oh my god.
So the only places I'm showing up is the lawyer's office or for the documentary crew. Only places I'm showing up.
Ooh, it takes me out every time. It lives in my head rent free because that's funny. That's so
I mean
funny.
that shit. I mean that shit with everything in me. Um, but I bring it up to say, like, but both of my fathers really have a big impact on that because kind of like you were talking about with your dad being nonchalant, both of my fathers have like 3 degrees each. They're both
Mhm.
highly educated men. Both of them are very charismatic men.
Mhm.
They know how to work a crowd. They're great speakers. They are men that people are very impressed with.
Right.
And that tends to be the type of men I fall for. Every now and then there might be one that's like, how'd y'all end up he end up here? And I was just like, proximity and boredom. I don't know. But like usually that's my type. Very charismatic, very educated, very
Mhm.
smart, knows how to work a room. Like you can take them to multiple crowds and they're okay. But you know what's also part of that type? They're villains. That's also a part of
Oh, wow, this took a turn. I was like, "Well, what is it?" Oh.
they are old tiny cartoon villains at heart. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't ready.
This episode about to be so unserious.
Ooh.
um, but being more serious though, but like while that's a part of that archetype, both of my fathers were also very emotionally unavailable. Because something I had to work through a lot in therapy and something I still have to work through a lot of. They were very big at making sure I knew that if I did not fall in line, they would take away their love. Like oh gosh, I remember one because both of my dads were kind of big on presentation, um, presenting, how they wanted the family and their children to present. And I remember with one of them, I was writing them a letter and I was about to run somewhere. So I was leaving quickly and I needed to write them something to say, like, hey, can you pick up this from the store? Something like that. I was leaving quickly. I wasn't paying attention and I spelled something wrong. And when I came back, not only did they not get the thing that set me down and they pointed it out to me, they're like, do you know how you spelled that wrong? And then they mentioned my age. I think I was like ninth, 10th grade. They were like, you in ninth, 10th grade? You should be spelling right now all day. No excuse that you running out the house. And then they didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. Like living with them, being in the same house. Like I would be like, hey, dad, blah, 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 blah. And he would act like he could not hear me. And that was like a normal part of my childhood. And so it made me very hyper vigilant. And it
Mhm.
made me feel like, okay, I have to earn love. And so having a pattern for years of men who are emotionally distant and men who need a caretaker because I learned that that's how I love people. I know how to make you feel good and comfortable, and I can do that. I have to earn it. So I have to also be your mother. I have to also, it wasn't an active conscious, like, oh, I need to earn his love, but it was a very like, oh, I have to step up and always show up in this role because being this role, this caregiver, this nurturer, this emotionally safe place is the reason why people love me.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
I keep falling for people who need that because it
Yeah.
makes me feel needed, which makes me feel loved. But it's the same pattern of like, again, honeymoon phase is great. And then I just slowly start to resent them
Yeah.
because
You said that
they're
too.
so draining.
You said that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So definitely, looking at the origins of like, okay, well, how was I shown love in my environment? And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be dad specifically, but who are the main people who like were in your life that showed you what love was, whether it was a good love or bad?
Right.
And you guys know I have said this multiple times, especially if you've been here since like the beginning. You got to ask yourselves because sometimes we'll meet people and we'll be like, oh my gosh, he gives me butterflies. And it's really anxiety. That man gives you anxiety. That, oh, it's a tickle in my stomach. Girl, is it a tickle or is it like knots?
A good example of that too is I found out that I'm symptomatic. So like what that means is like I may not mentally know it. My mind it takes some minute for my mind to catch up with my body. My body tends to react to the person before my mind does.
Mhm.
Meaning I physically get sick.
Yeah.
Like it sounds crazy. I physically get sick. I physically stay sick. I'm physically in the doctor. And I'm not a person to stay sick like that.
Mhm.
Like I'm nauseous. I'm sick in the morning. I'm throwing up. I'm pretty much on bed rest. Like
It's
I'm pretty
all
much
right.
letting myself die. Like, that's the best way I can explain
That's
it.
how I am with work. No, I 100% get it. Like, that's how I know it's time for me to leave a job because 'cause I'll randomly start getting very sick and my
Mhm,
body and I'll go to doctors and they're like, "Ain't nothing wrong with you," but my body will start reacting to, like, "You don't
mhm.
wanna be here."
Yeah, and my body gets it's a horrible feeling. It
Yeah.
I never knew that's what I was until I went to therapy and we talked about it and we had to go through the symptoms of being symptomatic and everything. And it took me about probably a year to get back to normal after a few of my relationships, but one specific one, it almost took me out. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so you got to check in with those type of symptoms, like when we are getting those things that again you might have thought at first was butterflies, but like no, it's anxiety. No, my
Mhm.
body is actually does not feel. I notice after I see him or her, after I see him, I be having headaches immediately after. I My body starts reacting other ways. Like that might be your inner child trying to sound the alarm. Like, no, while you might be telling yourself it's fate, like, no, it might be a trauma bond
Mhm.
audition.
And I think sometimes people don't realize, like, your nervous system's gonna try to protect you every time.
Mhm,
Like, you will go into I understand what fight or flight means, and
mhm,
you literally your nervous system will always try to protect you.
yeah,
Whether you leave, stay, it's always gonna try to protect you and when it feels like it's in danger.
yeah, it will. I agree.
Mhm.
So let's talk about when red flags start to feel like home. And again, this is when some of the things, some of the traumas, some of the unhealthy things that we might have picked up on in our early life starts disguising themselves as romance. And this can look like chasing validation from emotionally unavailable people.
Mhm.
That is unresolved abandonment. That's look, and that was a big one I had to deal with because again, they would take away their love as punishment, literally. If I fell out of line or I wasn't presenting the way they want me to present, type of stuff can create abandonment issues. Issues around like, oh crap, I have to show up and be perfect. I have to be useful to be loved, or else they're going to leave me. So let me put myself in this hyper vigilant state.
Right.
They
Mhm.
can also be falling for people that like you need to fix. This can come from codependency issues and childhood parentification. If you notice that, like, dang, a lot of times when I'm dating people, I feel like I have to save them. I have to turn into Superman for them.
Well, that's me.
But like also look at childhood. You know, one of the things I see all the time with this, I see this a lot with males.
Mhm.
And the way I see it is like a lot of times they're like, no, I want this strong, uh, I want a strong woman. I want a woman on my level, da 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 da. And then you look at their dating history and it's like you kind of look at it and they have a pattern of dating women who they feel like they have to save. And the thing about it is they always end up resenting these women. And it's like you resenting them because like, oh, she not hardworking or and she always it's always something. I always gotta rescue her out of this, and I always gotta help her with that. And I was like, she was like that when you met her. She was always like that. But a lot of times what I have found when I'm seeing this pattern, it is a lot of times they had a mother who they either felt they had to constantly save, like they were their mother's emotional support. This could be like there was no dad in the house, or dad was not a great person, and so mom is pushing all their feelings on him.
Mhm.
And so they're the ones being responsible for their mother's feelings. They're the ones being, no, mommy's okay. And no, you're so smart. And no, you don't deserve that. Like they soak that up. That is one version of it I've seen it. And so they get used to that type of energy of a woman who, like, dang, I need a saver. I need a rescuer. I need to be the one that's there to make them feel okay. But then slowly resenting that. So there's lots of ways this could work. But another version I see of this all the time too is men who have mothers who they wish somebody would have saved. Mothers that were very self-destructive, very emotionally destructive, and then they find women like that, and they're like, "Oh, but you don't have to go down the path my mom did. Imma save you. Imma step in." And again, but it leads to that resentment because it's not that that's what you want. It's just I know how to move in that type of energy because I had to do that my whole childhood.
And some men need to feel like that too. Like, and similar to what you said, I just never understood why some like, I hate to say it, and I don't want to say it like this because I guess you could say it for me too. But the most educated man can date the hoodest girl ever and have that savior complex.
Well, but I will say, like, but it's also the same with women because
Mhm.
we, most of us probably know a woman in our life, if it's not us ourselves,
Mhm.
who are highly educated, are got their stuff together, got a good job, got, maybe got her own house or whatever. And then she married Pookie. And you're
Yeah,
like, what? How the hell did that happen?
very true.
You
It's very true. That's why I say it can go both ways, but
Yeah.
it's very, very, very true.
You ain't got no kids. He got six baby mamas.
That's crazy.
That's crazy to me. So yeah, it can go both ways. It can definitely go both ways. And that goes into like avoiding the nice type, the good
Mhm.
girl, the good guys, because they feel boring. And it might be because I'm used to love feeling like chaos. Because maybe your home was very unstable. You didn't know what to expect when you came home. Your nervous system was always in flux. So being with somebody that does not activate your nervous system make you feel like, nah, this can't be it. I need somebody who she might stab me. I have heard people say stuff like that though. Like, I need somebody
It's
that like he might set my car on fire if I don't answer.
so funny you say that because my father, he really does like crazy women. There,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I remember though one time I had posted a meme that was like this dude, he was like holding up the sign and it
Mhm.
was like when you out at the club with your friends and you see your man, he was like, take your ass home before I act a fool in this whole place. And I had to delete that because there was too many people in the comments. Like I was laughing, but there's too many people pop comments being like, yes, that's what I love. That's what I love. And I was like, oh, wait, no, y'all. This is just jokes. Some of this is just like laughing jokes. And I'm like, oh, let me just go ahead and delete that because no, that's not the type of love I want for y'all. And like, well, I mean, I won't lie, because yes, in my younger years, I definitely had more of a temper, but like I've
Mhm.
never been like an arguer and I've never been a like, I'm about to embarrass you in public. Like you just I was very much private with my stuff. Like, yeah, I was doing some stuff, but like, but I wasn't like, I was not, we not yelling in Publix. I'm not cussing you out the Kroger. Like, we're not doing that. And like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't.
See, I'm a Leo, so I'm always gonna try to make you jealous, and that's my problem. That's partially why I be in half the situations I'm in because now he's in his feelings and he's mad because I did something. Then I'm back like I didn't do nothing. What did I do? I don't even know what I did. That queen of take it to the grave, queen of I didn't do nothing, and that's just my story, and I'm sticking to it because I didn't do nothing. I don't know why you got mad. No, no telling. He was just tripping.
I'm queen of ghosting. I'm queen of you just one day
I did
wake up
that
and I'm
too.
not there. You block on everything.
That's me. I will those too. Yeah.
There's a couple of people. What Beyonce say and sorry left a note in the hallway. By the time you read, I'll be fall away. That is my signature
Mhm.
move.
Mhm.
That is my signature move. There's probably like four dudes right now in Atlanta that still have notes. Yo, I once y'all don't do this. This is great. This is when I was unhealed and in my 20s. I once left this dude a note that was like that I said, and it was short. I still remember what I said because I was laughing when I said it. I was like, you so funny. Um, I put, you are so great on paper. It sucks that the reality of you is not that. And that's all.
Wah, wah, wah. Dot, dot, dot.
Do you know this man crashed out? He left a message on my homegirls because I met him through her on my homegirl's voice mess. Like, hey, give this to Rest. Don't take no offense. This ain't even about you. Just make sure you play it for Rest because we work together too. And then it was just him crashing out.
It'd be like that. I had a homie contact my mama on Facebook to get in contact with me because I didn't block him on my phone and blocked him on every social media site he could find me. He wrote my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, I think such and such is looking for you." I was like, "Who?" And she's like, "He said that he's sorry." Who is it? And all I could do was laugh, like, "What? I done had a person pull up at my mama house looking for me." Like, and I don't live there. Like, y'all really
Mhm.
don't know.
Look, yeah.
Ooh.
Alright, let's get back to this.
Okay,
So,
let's go.
but we're just not just to say, like, I mean, again, going back to, like, having this pattern, these red flags, again, I start feeling like home. It's not to say that you're broken, you are just patterned, and
Yeah,
what we don't heal, we repeat.
very true. Yes. So the ego will fight you. Your ego won't be like healing might mean being turned off by the people you used to be obsessed with. It might mean sitting across from someone kind, communicative, and emotionally available and feeling nothing but confusion, which is very, very, very true.
Yeah.
You'll start asking questions like, what's the spark? Where's the pain? Where's the chase? Because it's something new and something that you're just not used to.
Mhm.
Um, and you might even grieve the loss of chaos.
Mhm.
I personally have grieved loss of chaos. I enjoy chaos, but I enjoy peace these days. These big 30s, I will be in this house by myself. Yes, I will. Because chaos is all you've known for a long time, and it's what you felt for a long time, and it's just your normal.
Yeah.
That's not failure. That's rewiring your nervous system to learn that love doesn't have to hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's so true. Your ego will definitely, definitely fight you on it. It's something that I still have to check myself on a lot of
Mhm,
times. Because again, I told you one of the things that was really hard for me is like getting out of the pattern of having to perform for love, getting out the
mhm.
pattern of I have to be useful to be loved. I have to be able to provide some type of value to you to be loved.
Yeah.
And I have to fall in line with a role to be loved. And
I like that what you just said. I have to fall in line with a role to be
mhm.
loved because that's how I felt. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely there was a period in time, like, I remember this is when I was way younger, when I was, like, still into the church, and I was dating this guy, and, like, he had this thing, like, he wanted to be a power couple. Like, that was his thing, and he wanted to be a minister, and he was like, "You gonna be the first lady, and so, like, da 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 da." And I remember at the time I had red streaks in my hair, and he was like, "I'm taking you to church, you can't have no red streak. The first lady ain't gonna have no red streaks in your hair."
Mm,
And, like, when we had went out with some of his friends, and, like, the way he talked about me in front of me made me uncomfortable because it was just like it felt like I was a prize pony. He was just like, "Yeah, she has a 3.9 GPA. She just got into this and this grad school. She's applying to Case Western. Yeah, her daddy's a diplomat. Mhm, yeah, two-parent household." Like, and I'm sitting here like, and at first I'm not catching it. At first, I'm just like him being like, "Yeah, this is my baby, da da da." But then it's a point where I was like, I feel like a show pony.
like, I know I look good on paper, but damn, do you know me? You're like,
Nah. But look, yeah, because like, what about my personality? What about
right.
what I'm about, But again, it fell in line with that pattern though of like I'm used to being attracted to people who again, I have to be useful. I have to fit into a certain box and role to feel love. And I was used to that type of relation. And again, I, it's something I have to check now because even now, like even with friends, I'm very nurturing. I tend to go into nurturing roles. I tend to go into like, "Hey, friend, let's talk about it. I'm here for you. What do you need?" And so some of it is a nurturer is just a natural part of my personality. And sometimes it's hard for me to distinguish between what is you just being naturally you caring and what is you morphing into. I'm
Yeah.
doing this performance to feel
Yeah.
validated, to feel loved. And it's not because necessarily I want to, it's because I feel like I have to.
Hmm. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I'm a nurturer too, in a sense. Um, I probably overcompensate for my nurturing because it gets on my nerves.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's interesting because as hardcore as I try to act, because if you ask me, I think I'm the toughest thing smoking,
I know.
but my friends actually say I'm very nice and charismatic. I get annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
Look, you and Nick be trying to fight those lover girl charges, but y'all are lover girls. Y'all are absolute
I
lover
think
girls.
I'm the hoodest thing out here, and my friends are like, "No, no, you're not. No, you're not." Like, don't believe the hype. That made me laugh. Um, yeah, yep. What everything that you said.
Well, so let's go into like, okay, what do you do about it? So now you just sat back, you looked at it, you thought about a pattern, you realize, okay, this is my pattern. I only go for bad boys, only go for men who like don't open doors, that are low key a little mean to me. And then you sat and you figured out where that pattern come from. Well, my daddy was kind of mean. And
Mm,
like he was a yeller. And my mom used to always tell me, your dad just don't know how to love. That's how he shows you care.
no.
So now I am morphing that into that's how men show me they care. All right. So now we figured out what the pattern is. We figure out where the pattern comes from. And what do we do now? The first thing is you got to admit to yourself that your type just might be trauma. That's the first thing. Being able to admit that and admit it with no shame. It's just bringing awareness to it because I can't fix it if I don't know what it is I need to fix. The next,
Therapy.
look, therapy can be really good for that. Journaling could be really good for that.
Talk to yourself in the mirror because I tend to do that too. But just,
Yeah.
talk to yourself. Talk to myself in the car too. I got to get better at that. But anywho, talk to yourself. Well, however form you might see fit.
You know what? Can I just say this is a side note that I had a friend recently tell me, not recently, but I had a friend that was talking to me and they were like talking about how because they had somebody in their life that got a late diagnosis of like schizophrenia.
Hmm.
And so we were kind of talking about it and they were
That's
like,
sad.
yeah. And they were kind of talking about it and they were just like, I didn't really see any signs. And they were like, well, now that I think about it though, my mom used to always talk to herself in the car. And I just used to like not think. And when I tell you, I had a moment of panic because I'm always talking to myself in the car with my daughter in the back seat. Because I just be having moments where I'm thinking things through.
I know me
And
too.
then I just start working it out loud. And I was like, oh dang. At some point, what if somebody asks you? I'm like, does your mama talk? She always talks to herself. She be driving along, listening to Dipset, and then all of a sudden she's in the middle of a debate with nobody else.
Okay, because I have full blown conversations, and I say that because I will practice the conversation. Okay, sidebar. I had a lady come me in the store. I took my dog with me. He has a stroller. He's very small.
Mhm,
Went to furniture stores. Make it quick. Everything was good. I went to the dollar store by my house.
mhm,
I'm walking in the dollar store. I go to ring up, and she goes, "Oh, he's so cute. Is he a service dog?" I say, "No, he's not a service dog." She goes, "Well, you can't bring him to the store anymore."
mhm,
I said, "Okay, that's fine." My dog is not a service dog. He is an emotional support animal, and there is a difference.
mhm,
He is for my mental. He is not for my physical. I should have said that right then and there, but I didn't feel like dealing with it. So I literally have been practicing this conversation for 2 days in my head because I'm bothered. Like
mhm,
that's how I know when something's bothered me because now I'm like, I'm gonna go back in there with him on purpose. And if she says something to me, I'm gonna let her know and educate her that
mhm.
he's an emotional support animal and da. I don't have to have a conversation with myself about this. Like, just let her know.
It's fine.
I overcompensate because I was so bothered. Like
Yeah,
it bothered me, and I should have just said something right then and there. And I had to talk to my mom about it. She was like, "No, you are right. He's not a physical companion. He's an
yeah,
emotional support, and there is a difference."
yeah.
Like I'm bothered.
It's
Like,
okay. Yeah, I stay talking to myself.
girl, I can't help it.
I do a whole, but I talk to myself. I change the lyrics of songs and then I sing it out loud, like the rest of y'all supposed to know what I change the lyrics to. To this day, I'm not sure if there's any songs that I actually know the real lyrics to because I will be listening to this song while I'm going through something, and then I just decide to make it relate to me.
Yep.
And then next thing I know, I'm like singing the song, and I'm like, it's my favorite heartbreak song. They're like, this is a wedding song. I'm like, oh, not to me, not to me.
Happy,
This reminds
happy
me
I
of
don't
when
know
JP
that.
broke my heart, 2013, and so that's what
Okay.
that is about now.
And in my past life, I used to be a rapper. Low key still think I am a rapper. Just let me know. I really can't spit some bars. Just,
Me
but
and my high school best friend had a group name. We were called the Bella Mafia, and we was gonna be rappers, and neither one of us could rap. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. We used to sit up in a room, we would pick a song, and then, oh gosh, walk a flock of no hands.
oh
I
my
had
God.
Wale's verse, and I still low key remember my verse. She had walk. We had her little brother do Roscoe. And I still remember. My verse actually low key went hard, but I've since updated it. It low key went hard. If you give me enough time, I could be a rapper. You gotta give me some time to think it out. But yes, so Acknowledgement, awareness. Now, step 2 is you gotta reflect on that pattern, not just the people. If 5 different people all made you feel the same kind of unsafe, you are the common denominator, and that's the key to changing the story.
Mhm.
Next, when you're ready to start dating again, you wanna start dating with your nervous system and not just your fantasy. And what I mean by that is being aware of how people make you feel when you're interacting with them, being
Yes.
and a lot of times the reason why a lot of us don't kinda going back to that question, do they give you butterflies or is it anxiety? A lot of us aren't as present in our body as we need to be. A lot of us aren't grounded like we should. And so, yes, we're talking, we're interacting with a person, but, like, we're low key not fully there because we're kinda fantasizing about the future in our head and what this means, and we're not really picking up. And so when our body is sending us these signals, we're not we're not in tune enough to know, like, "Ooh, stomach ache all the time when I'm next to you." Okay. Oh, start with your nervous system, being fully grounded in yourself and asking yourself these questions when it comes to him, being aware and not letting yourself run away with the fantasy because we can definitely do that. Especially when you're one of those people where it's like, I don't really fall hard often. And then you meet somebody and it just seems like it's instant connection. And it's just like, I ain't had an instant connection in like 10 years. And you wanna fantasize, you wanna go and be like, "Oh, and then we gonna have cute babies, and his mama gonna love me, and da 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 da." Let yourself be grounded and be present. Do I feel safe? Asking yourself those questions, do I feel safe? Do I feel seen? Do I feel steady when I'm around this person?
Mhm.
Or am I just recreating, like, high stakes drama that I've learned in childhood?
Mm, mm, mm. You said that, girl. And finally,
Mhm.
don't wait until you're fully healed to try new dynamics. Just be intentional, be awake, know yourself, always know yourself. When the chaos tries to seduce you again, and remember, peace isn't boring. It's definitely not boring. It's definitely needed, and it's just what you've never known before. Um, just to go into the peace factor, I think chaos has always been my thing, especially in my 20s. That now I'm not gonna say I'm a different person, but I'm grown in my 30s and I'm okay with my peace. And I'm very, 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 very cautious about who I let come disturb my peace
Mhm.
because we gonna sleep around here in this household. I'm not gonna stay up wondering at night. Like I'm just not. I did that in my 20s where I can't sleep, wondering, crying in the bathtub, crying,
Mhm.
upset, right in my no, no, we go to bed with no problems around here. Good night. And that's just the best way I can say it. And it's very nice.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah. You're
It's just
right. You're right.
calling my friends 3 in the morning. "Oh, I don't even" they're like, "What? I just told you" "What?" Like, "No, we don't do that around here." Like, "No."
Yeah.
Get
And
up.
you know what? I actually had said something one time. It was like an old episode, but she had one time said something. Oh, because there was this guy that she used to date that I was kind of rooting for. And me and her were having a conversation. This is on one of these older episodes. And she was just like, you kept rooting for her. And I was like, but you got to realize you weren't telling me about what was really happening. And
Right,
so when you were like, "I don't know, I wanna pull back," all I heard is all the good stuff. And
right.
so as me and her were having this conversation, one of the things she said, she was like, "Yeah," she was like, "Honestly, that is what made me realize I had to back away because I realized I was lying to my friends." And I was like, "Anybody who makes you feel like you can't tell your friends what's really going on because 'cause you're gonna feel stupid is not somebody I need to be with."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yes, now that is something I recommend." If you find yourself being like, "I can't even tell my girls because 'cause Imma look done," you need to reconsider, "Is this my trauma? Am I staying with this person because this is a familiar pattern for me?"
All my friends didn't know about the situation until it revealed itself. Like,
Mhm,
I did not tell nobody. I literally did not talk to nobody because I did
mhm.
not want y'all to know.
Yeah, we did not know till things really, really hit the fan.
Mhm.
And even then, we was like, "Wait, what? When did this
Happy?
what?"
What? Like, yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And, like, there's some people that are just like, "Well, I have to wait till I'm fully healed before I'm lovable." And,
That's
I
true.
love that you said that because that's not true. You can still try out these new dynamics as you're trying to heal. Because one, healing is a continuous lifelong process. You never kind of fully get there. You still have moments where You're like, "I've been doing so good for like 5 years," and then you get triggered and it catches you off guard, and you might slip up into some old habits or slip up and act in a way that you're like, "Dang, that's not even supposed to be me no more." Because again, healing is a continuous process, and so allow yourself to try out these new dynamics, and even as you're trying to heal, just make sure you're being intentional when you're trying to heal. Mhm. Being conscious of the decisions you're making and not just going with whatever whim your emotions take you to. So, our final thoughts, having a type is normal. But again, if you realize your type keeps breaking your heart, draining your energy, or reinforcing old wounds, that might not be a type. It might just be that you have trauma on a playlist and you keep pressing repeat.
Mm.
And it just might be time for you to press shuffle. So hopefully you guys like today's episode. Follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy. We'll have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. And other than that, bye.
Bye.